You're sitting on your patio trying to relax, but your neighbor is 20 feet away grilling on his deck, staring right at you. Or maybe it's the street noise, the ugly view of parking lots, or just the feeling that your backyard is basically a fishbowl where everyone can see everything you do. Fences are expensive, $5,000 to $10,000 for a typical yard. They require permits, maintenance, and they still look like fences. But there's a better solution that costs a fraction of the price, increases your property value, and gets better every single year. The right privacy trees transform your backyard from exposed to secluded in just a few years, sometimes even one season if you buy larger specimens. I'm talking about fast-growing, dense, beautiful trees that create living walls of green privacy. Welcome to Daily Garden Fix. Today I'm sharing the 5 best trees for instant backyard privacy, trees that grow fast, stay dense, and actually work to block views and noise. Hit subscribe and let's create your private backyard oasis. Tree number 1, Thuja Green Giant, the privacy superstar. The first tree is the undisputed champion of privacy screening, Thuja Green Giant. If you want fast, dense, reliable privacy, this is the tree. I planted 7 Thuja Green Giants along my back property line 9 years ago. I bought 5-foot specimens for about $50 each. Those trees are now 25 feet tall, forming a solid wall of green that completely blocks the view of the houses behind me. They're so dense, you literally cannot see through them. My neighbors thought I was crazy planting evergreens so close together, 6 feet apart. They'll grow together and look messy, they said. But that's exactly what I wanted. Those trees merged into a seamless privacy hedge that gives me total seclusion. Why Thuja Green Giant is the best privacy tree? The growth rate is incredible. These trees grow 3 to 5 feet per year once established. In 5 years, a 5-foot sapling becomes a 20-foot privacy screen. That's genuinely fast. They're naturally pyramidal and dense. You don't need to prune or shape them. They grow into perfect privacy screens on their own. The foliage is thick, feathery, and stays green year-round. No gaps, no bare spots. They're adaptable. Thuja Green Giant tolerates a wide range of soils, clay, sand, loam. It handles full sun or partial shade. It's cold-hardy to Zone 5 and heat-tolerant through Zone 9. It works almost anywhere in the continental U.S. They're low maintenance. Once established, they need almost nothing. No pruning required, no pest problems, no diseases. They're drought-tolerant after the first 2 years. You plant them, water them the first season, and then they just grow. How I planted mine? I dug holes twice as wide as the root balls, but only as deep. I didn't amend the soil. Thuja doesn't need it. I planted them 6 to 8 feet apart for a solid hedge. Closer spacing gives faster screening, but more trees to buy. I watered deeply twice per week the first summer, once per week the second summer. After that, they've survived on rainwater alone. I've never fertilized them, never sprayed them, never pruned them. They're now 25 feet tall and 12 feet wide, creating a dense privacy wall. What to expect? Year 1, they establish and grow modestly, maybe 1 to 2 feet. Year 2, growth accelerates, 3 to 4 feet. By year 3, you have serious privacy. By year 5, you have a mature privacy screen. At maturity, they reach 30 to 40 feet tall and 12 to 15 feet wide. If that's too tall, you can top them at your desired height. They tolerate it well. Or just let them be trees and enjoy the scale. The only real downside: deer will browse young trees in some areas. Protect them with fencing or repellent the first 2 years until they're established. The cost comparison? A 100-foot privacy fence costs $3,000 to $8,000 installed. 10 Thuja Green Giants at $50 each equals $500. You save thousands, add property value, and get living privacy that improves every year instead of deteriorating. Tree number 2, Leyland Cypress, the fast-growing classic. The second privacy tree is Leyland Cypress, the fast-growing evergreen that landscapers have used for decades. I don't personally grow Leyland Cypress because I went with Thuja, but my neighbor planted a row of them 8 years ago. They're now 30 feet tall, forming a dense screen between our properties. I've watched them grow, and I understand why they're so popular for privacy. Why Leyland Cypress works for privacy? The growth rate is exceptional. 3 to 4 feet per year, sometimes more in ideal conditions. It's one of the fastest growing evergreens available. You get privacy faster than almost any other tree. The foliage is dense and feathery. When properly planted and maintained, Leyland Cypress creates an impenetrable visual barrier. The soft, scale-like foliage is attractive and stays green year-round. No gaps, no bare spots. It's affordable and widely available. Every garden center stocks Leyland Cypress. You can find them in sizes from 1-gallon pots to 10-foot specimens. Availability means competitive pricing. The important caveats. Here's what you need to know before choosing Leyland Cypress. It has some significant drawbacks that Thuja doesn't. Disease susceptibility is the biggest issue. Leyland Cypress is prone to several fungal diseases, especially in humid climates or with poor air circulation. Bagworms can also be a serious pest. My neighbor has lost 2 trees to disease and had to replace them. It requires more maintenance than Thuja. Leyland Cypress benefits from occasional pruning to maintain density. Without it, the interior can thin out as trees age. Dead branches need to be removed promptly to prevent disease spread. It's not as cold-hardy as Thuja. Leyland Cypress is rated zones 6 to 10. In zone 5 and colder, it can suffer winter damage or die. If you're in a cold climate, skip Leyland and choose Thuja instead. When Leyland Cypress makes sense. If you're in zones 7 to 9, want extremely fast growth, and don't mind some maintenance, Leyland Cypress is a solid choice. It's especially good in climates with low humidity, where disease pressure is lower. Think California, parts of the Southwest, or drier regions of the South. Planting and care. Plant 6 to 8 feet apart for screening. Dig holes twice as wide as the root balls. Water deeply twice per week the first summer, once per week the second summer. Fertilize lightly in spring for faster growth. Prune lightly in late winter or early spring to maintain shape and density. Remove any dead or diseased branches immediately. Monitor for pests, especially bagworms in late spring. At maturity, they reach 40 to 60 feet tall and 15 to 20 feet wide. You can maintain them at any height through annual pruning. The reality check? Leyland Cypress grows faster than Thuja, but it requires more attention and has more potential problems. For most gardeners, Thuja's reliability outweighs the slightly slower growth. But if speed is your absolute priority and you're willing to monitor and maintain, Leyland can deliver privacy very quickly. Tree number 3, Eastern Red Cedar, the native privacy solution. The third privacy tree is Eastern Red Cedar, the native evergreen that's tough as nails and perfect for difficult sites. I have 3 Eastern Red Cedars on the north side of my property that were already there when I bought the house. They're 30 years old, 35 feet tall, and form a dense screen even through harsh winters. They've survived everything: drought, ice storms, brutally cold winters without missing a beat. Why Eastern Red Cedar is underrated? It's native to North America, which means it's perfectly adapted to our climate and supports native wildlife. Birds nest in mature cedars, and they provide winter shelter for many species. It's ecological privacy screening. The toughness is legendary. Eastern Red Cedar tolerates terrible soil: clay, sand, rocky, alkaline, acidic. It handles drought better than almost any evergreen. It survives extreme cold, zone 2, and heat, zone 9. It works in full sun or partial shade. It's virtually indestructible. The density is excellent. Mature Eastern Red Cedars are thick and impenetrable. The foliage is a mix of mature growth and juvenile needle-like growth, creating texture and year-round interest. In winter, some varieties develop purple bronze tones. The growth rate is moderate, slower than Thuja, but respectable at 1 to 2 feet per year once established. It's not instant privacy, but it's steady, reliable privacy that gets better every year. The trade-offs. Eastern Red Cedar has a few considerations. Female trees produce small blue berry-like cones that can be messy and spread seeds. If you don't want seedlings popping up, choose male cultivars. Cedar apple rust is a fungal disease that affects cedars near apple trees, so if you have apple or crabapple trees, plant cedars away from them or choose resistant varieties. The form is more irregular than Thuja or Leyland. Eastern Red Cedar grows as a natural tree, sometimes symmetrical, sometimes with character. If you want perfect uniformity, this isn't your tree. But if you want natural beauty, it's perfect. Why I love them? My 3 eastern red cedars cost me nothing. They were already here, but if I were planting new privacy trees in a difficult spot, poor soil, drought-prone, exposed site, I'd absolutely choose eastern red cedar. They're lower on the property value scale than Thuja or Leyland, but higher on the ecological value scale. They support native insects, which support native birds. They're part of the local ecosystem in a way non-native trees aren't. Planting and care. Eastern red cedar is available at native plant nurseries and some garden centers. Look for cultivars like Caner T, narrow and dense, or Berkey, blue-gray foliage. Plant 8 to 10 feet apart for eventual screening. They need less dense planting than Thuja because they get wider. Dig holes, plant, water regularly the first year. After that, they need essentially nothing. No fertilizing needed, no pruning unless you want to shape them, no pest control. They're genuinely plant and forget trees. At maturity, they reach 30 to 50 feet tall and 15 to 20 feet wide. They live for decades, even centuries in some cases. Best use cases? Eastern red cedar is perfect for rural properties, native plant landscapes, wildlife gardens, or difficult sites where other trees struggle. It's the choice for sustainability-minded gardeners who want privacy that also supports local ecology. Tree number 4, Nellie Stevens Holly, the elegant evergreen screen. The 4th privacy tree is Nellie Stevens Holly, the elegant glossy-leaved evergreen that works beautifully in formal and informal landscapes. I planted 5 Nellie Stevens Hollies along my side yard 6 years ago. I wanted privacy from the street, but didn't want the stark wall of evergreens look. Hollies give me dense screening while still looking like attractive landscape trees rather than a fortress. Why Nellie Stevens Holly is special? The appearance is beautiful year-round. Dark green, glossy leaves that catch light beautifully. Pyramidal form that's neat but natural. Red berries in fall and winter, on female trees, that attract birds. It looks upscale and intentional. The growth rate is respectable, 2 to 3 feet per year once established. Not as fast as Thuja or Leyland, but faster than most broadleaf evergreens. You get solid privacy in 5 to 7 years from small trees. The adaptability is excellent. Nellie Stevens tolerates full sun to partial shade. It handles heat and humidity beautifully. It's ideal for the south. It's moderately drought tolerant once established. It grows in various soil types. The density for privacy is very good. The foliage is thick and the branching is dense. While not quite as impenetrable as Thuja, it provides excellent screening while maintaining an attractive tree form. What makes Nellie Stevens different? This is a broadleaf evergreen, not a needle or scale-leaf evergreen like Thuja or cedar. That means it has a different aesthetic, more refined, less conifer hedge-looking. It works beautifully in upscale landscapes where a dense row of conifers might look too utilitarian. Nellie Stevens gives you privacy with elegance. It looks like intentional landscaping, not just screening. The berries are a bonus. If you want berries, plant female trees. The red berries appear in fall and persist through winter, providing food for birds and visual interest. If you don't want berries or seedlings, plant male cultivars. Planting and care. Plant 8 to 10 feet apart for privacy screening. They'll grow together over time to create a solid visual barrier. Dig holes twice as wide as root balls. Amend heavy clay with compost for better drainage. Water regularly the first 2 years. Hollies appreciate consistent moisture while establishing. After that, they're fairly drought tolerant. Fertilize lightly in spring with an acid fertilizer formulated for hollies. Pruning is optional. You can shear them into formal hedges if desired, or let them grow naturally as trees. I let mine grow naturally. They maintain a nice pyramidal form without intervention. At maturity, Nellie Stevens reaches 20 to 25 feet tall and 10 to 12 feet wide. It's a bit smaller than Thuja or Leyland, which can be an advantage if you want privacy without dominating the landscape. The South's favorite. Nellie Stevens Holly is especially popular in zones 6 to 9, particularly in the South where it thrives in heat and humidity. It handles coastal conditions well, tolerating salt spray better than many evergreens. If you're in the South and want an elegant privacy solution that looks upscale while being tough and reliable, Nellie Stevens is hard to beat. Pest and disease. Hollies are relatively problem-free.
Occasionally, leaf miners create serpentine trails in leaves, mostly cosmetic. Spider mites can be an issue in hot and dry conditions. A strong spray of water usually controls them. Overall, Nellie Stevens is much less prone to serious diseases than Leyland Cypress, making it a lower maintenance option. My experience. My 5 Nellie Stevens are now 12 to 15 feet tall and provide excellent screening from the street. When they're backlit by setting sun, the glossy leaves glow beautifully. In winter, the red berries stand out against dark green foliage. They look like landscape trees that happen to provide privacy, not just privacy screening. That aesthetic difference matters if you care about curb appeal and property value. Nellie Stevens adds both privacy and landscape value. Tree number 5. Skip Laurel, the shade-tolerant privacy screen. The 5th privacy tree is Skip Laurel, the broadleaf evergreen that solves the toughest privacy problem, screening in shade. I don't grow skip laurel because my privacy needs are all in full sun, but my neighbor on the other side planted a row of skip laurels in partial shade beneath oak trees where she couldn't grow conifers. They've created a dense, beautiful screen that thrives despite getting only 4 to 5 hours of sun. Why is skip laurel unique? It tolerates shade better than any other privacy screening plant. Most evergreens need full sun to stay dense. Skip laurel thrives in partial shade, even dense shade in mild climates. This makes it the solution for shady properties or screening beneath existing trees. The growth rate is good, 2 to 3 feet per year in decent conditions. Not as fast as Thuja or Leyland, but respectable for a shade-tolerant broadleaf. The foliage is beautiful, large, glossy, dark green leaves that look lush and tropical. In spring, white flower spikes appear, fragrant and attractive. In fall, black berries appear, on unpruned specimens. The density is excellent. With proper planting and minimal maintenance, skip laurel creates an impenetrable green wall that provides complete privacy.
Planting and care. Plant 5 to 7 feet apart for a hedge, 8 to 10 feet for individual screening trees. They tolerate closer spacing than sun-loving conifers because the shade keeps them from getting as wide. Dig holes twice as wide as root balls. Amend heavy clay with compost. Skip laurel prefers well-drained, slightly acidic soil, but adapts to various conditions. Water regularly the first 2 years. Unlike drought-loving conifers, skip laurel appreciates consistent moisture, especially in shade where roots compete with existing trees. Fertilize in early spring with an acid fertilizer. Mulch around the base to retain moisture and keep roots cool. Pruning is where skip laurel differs from conifers. You can let it grow naturally as a screening tree, 12 to 18 feet tall, or you can prune it into a formal hedge at any height. It tolerates heavy pruning and responds by growing denser. Prune in late winter or early spring before new growth. Remove dead or crossing branches, shear into shape if maintaining a formal hedge. Or don't prune at all. It maintains a nice form naturally. Climate considerations. Skip laurel is hardy zone 6 to 9, though zone 6 is pushing it. In zone 6, plant in protected locations and provide winter protection the first few years. It loves mild, humid climates. Think the Mid-Atlantic, Southeast, and Pacific Northwest. It's less happy in extreme cold, zone 5 and below, or extreme heat and dryness, Southwest. Pest and disease. Skip laurel can get shot hole fungus, a disease that creates holes in leaves. Usually cosmetic, but can be serious in very wet, humid conditions. Good air circulation and avoiding overhead watering help prevent it. Root rot can occur in poorly drained soil. Make sure drainage is good when planting. Other than that, it's relatively trouble-free. The cost and availability. Skip laurel is widely available at garden centers, especially in regions where it thrives. Expect to pay $30 to $80 per plant, depending on size. It's more expensive than Thuja green giant, but comparable to Nellie Stevens holly. For shade-tolerant privacy, it's worth the investment. There really isn't a better alternative. My neighbor's experience. My neighbor planted 8 skip laurels 6 years ago in a partially shaded area between our properties. She wanted privacy from my side yard without removing the mature oak trees that provided shade.
Those skip laurels are now 12 feet tall, forming a solid green screen despite getting only 4 to 5 hours of sun. They look healthy and lush, not at all like the struggling conifers that some people try to force into shade. She prunes them once per year in early spring to maintain a neat hedge-like appearance. That's the only maintenance they get, and they look great. So, there you have it, 5 proven privacy trees that actually work. Thuja Green Giant for fast, dense, reliable screening in sun, Leyland Cypress for even faster growth if you can handle the maintenance, Eastern Red Cedar for native toughness and ecological value, Nellie Stevens Holly for elegant, upscale privacy, Skip Laurel for shade-tolerant screening. Here's what I want you to understand. Privacy trees are an investment that pays dividends forever. The initial cost seems high, but compare it to fencing that needs repair and replacement. Compare it to the value they add to your property. Compare it to the quality of life improvement from having a private backyard oasis. If this video helped you find the perfect tree for your backyard privacy needs, hit that like button and share it with someone who's tired of living in a fishbowl. Subscribe to Daily Garden Fix for more practical solutions to real gardening problems. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and remember, privacy is just a few trees away. Happy planting, friends.